It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. I think you can feel my excitement this morning as we broach our first topic today, and it's a big one. Our next guest is just amazing. Phillipa Geard, founder and CEO of Recruit My Mom. I love it. The company that has brought out the largest report done to date in South Africa around working women. And yes, a significant number of them are moms who keep us propped up. Now, the research surveyed over 2,500 skilled women in South Africa to really interrogate their level of satisfaction in the workplace, the benefits, the work situations they're looking for, where they find themselves, and how businesses can look after these women in their companies, i.e. get the most out of this valuable asset. And she joins us to discuss her very interesting findings and some of the truths that they have revealed. So, first of all, Phillipa, you're awesome. Thank you for representing this. I think you can see I have a bias towards this particular asset that, in my mind, in South Africa is completely untapped. We know that our communities are being propped up by women. Some of the biggest foundations I've worked with within the community space say you get 4 times the amount of return on investment when you invest in a woman. But I think, for me, I have to start with the name, Recruit My Mom. So give us a bit of background as to where you're coming from before we delve into the report.
Yeah, sure. So Recruit My Mom was launched in 2012 in South Africa, and it was an answer to a need amongst women who were being overlooked by recruitment agencies. And we knew that employers could tap into this incredible resource if only they knew how to, and the fact that these women might need a different way of working. And that was pre-COVID. Post-COVID, we've had a bit of a shift in the way women want to work, but it really was around this amazing asset group, as you call them, and how do you tap into them to utilize them in this work, in our workforce in South Africa.
And it's so funny because you're speaking post-COVID language here, so it must have been quite an adjustment back then to get people to think about this shift, because it's amazing to me. Some of the most effective members of the business community become a mom and are taken out of the fold, and we leave them there.
Yep.
We don't allow access to entry. So you've gone and done this report to do a deep dive to find out what women in South Africa actually need to be successful in the workspace. So let's talk through some of those findings. What really jumped off the page for you?
So what happened was, post-COVID, we started to see a shift. So we have almost 200,000 women in our database at the moment, and we started to notice a larger number of women coming into the workplace looking for work, and also a greater number of them looking for full-time employment. And so we started to ask ourselves, so what's happening economically amongst women in South Africa? And there wasn't the data. So we decided, well, we couldn't just anecdotally come to market and say this is what's happening. We needed to do the research. So together with a number of other influencers in South Africa and people in South Africa, we put out the research, and just about 2,500 women responded, and they, in this report, then began to tell us what they wanted, and that's what we've released to the market.
And I'm thinking there are multiple ways that you can push this perspective, this as a product in itself. What were some of the myths, or maybe those misconceptions that this data, these metrics have dispelled? What have been some of your biggest, like, wow, okay, those kind of moments?
So I think there are a number of perceptions around how women want to work, and particularly working mothers. Yeah. And there seems to be, this belief that working mothers are not serious about their careers, that they want to work part-time, and they want to work remotely. And what we found from the research was that 98% of the women said we want to work, 78% of them said they wanted to grow, and the majority of them want to work full-time, and actually the majority of them also want to work in a hybrid manner. And that was an interesting aha for us, because we also thought that the majority of women would want to work remotely, fully remotely. But because of COVID, there's this greater need for connection and social interaction, and so there's this now growing need for more hybrid work. You still have about 30% of women wanting to work fully remotely, especially when their kids are a bit younger. But yeah,
or those that have better behaved kids, maybe they just don't want to escape them. I love the fact that we are turning this lens onto a member or a group of members of the workforce that are untapped as a resource. This isn't about creating room for a nice us to have. This is essential for the growth of this country. We need to utilize the best assets that we have. And that's exactly the focus here. So we're going to continue this discussion with Phillipa in just a moment. We are speaking about women in the workplace and how that landscape is transforming to prime itself for these assets. And we'd love for you to weigh into the conversation.